Hey everybody, it's Matthew Lee with the Tao of Kung Fu. And this morning I wanted to talk a little bit about meditation. The mind expansion capabilities of meditation are incredible. So the concept of it is multitasking with your brain. So already we're multitasking from simple things to much more complex things. So simply, we're in a posture. We're maintaining that posture. One little fraction of the pie graph of our attention and focus has to be on this posture. The legs this way, the hips this way, the spine this way, the neck this way, the tongue up, the eyes, all that. Then we've got movement happening, which is a little bit less simple, where we're expanding with the exhalation or inhalation, contracting with the exhalation. We have to coordinate all of that. That's continuing the multitasking and the mind expansion of the brain. It makes it more difficult because as I'm concentrating on all this, my body can get out of whack and I can lose my focus on the posture. I have to come back to the posture and then keep the coordination of the breath and the body expanding and contracting. Number 3, I'm drawing in and I'm listening to the heart. That's a really difficult one because it creates really major focus. And once I listen to the heart, I start counting the heartbeats, which help me stay focused on the heart, but I lose the attention, or it's easier to lose the attention to the movement that should be happening in the torso with the inhalation and exhalation, and the posture. So I'm really starting to stack on the multitasking. Then I go to the cultivation process that's happening in the Dantian, where I'm drawing in all of this abstract imagination and I'm crunching it together as I exhale, which makes it easy to forget to expand and contract, and it makes it really easy to lose the perception of the heartbeat. So all of these things can become very, very distracting and pull the focus out of whack. Plus, I'm trying to concentrate on not listening to the music, not listening to the people walk around upstairs, not listening to the sirens, the jackhammers, and all of that. So I have to be really focused, and my will gets honed sharper and sharper the more and more I focus on this. Then we start doing something even more radical that is completely powerful. And I picked up a great book on this. It was one of the only places I've ever seen this talked about. It was written by a Zen master, and it was just a free book, so it was even cooler. For a donation, you could pick up this book at one of the Buddhist temples here in San Francisco. And I picked this book up here on a trip a long time ago, in 1996. So, and I referenced the book. I think I even put the ISBN number down. I'm not sure, but if not, feel free to comment me and I'll put the book up. But it talks about once you are doing this cultivation process, you also want mental imagery. Not just of drawing in light or thinking of a flock of birds flying into your dantian and creating not condensation, but condensing, creating density into the dantian. Then you're working on visualization. So you're counting the number of breaths that you're taking. And this is where the mind expansion starts to really blow up. So this is a key element of cultivation and mind expansion. You're counting your breaths. So not only are you counting the heartbeats, but you have this mental imagery inside, usually behind the third eye area, which is right in between the eyebrows. And it's HN3 if you want the pressure point. It's HN3, head and neck 3. It's one of the extraordinary points. Even though it's on the Ren meridian, it's an extraordinary point, which means it's not associated wholly with that meridian. It's also associated with other things. Behind that, in front of the ears, center behind that, you can think of like golf ball size area, you want to have the number 1. Now, the more and more practice, the more complicated you can make it, because meditation is more powerful the more senses that you stimulate. So by that I mean sight, touch, hear, taste, and feel. Sight, touch, hear, taste, and sound. Okay. So I see a block number 1. It's a 3D image of a number 1. And I go around it like I'm in a spaceship, flying around it, taking a picture of it. I see it from the bottom, I see it from the top, I see it from the front and the back and the sides. So as I'm counting my heartbeats, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm flying around this number 1, looking at it from all levels and sizes and angles. Okay, for both the inhalation and the exhalation. Then I give it a texture, and I use my imagination to feel this texture, whether it's smooth and soft like a peach, or it's rough and coarse like sandpaper, or it's sharp like a cactus, or it's hot. So I give it any kind of sensation of touch. I give it a taste like orange, like I give it that sharp citrus taste, like I'm chewing on an orange peel. And I give it a color, like if I'm doing an orange, it might be orange, or it might be bright red, even though it tastes like orange. And then I give it a sound, so it's vibrating at a particular frequency, and I hear that sound. Even though there's no sound, I make it up and I hear it, because the idea is to use your brain to stimulate your senses. I did sound, sight, touch, taste, and what's the 5th one? Smell. So if I'm using the taste, I associate those two together, which is that orange citrus, and I smell that citrus. So you want to start out with things that are very familiar to you, and then move to things that are going to make you really work to develop that sensation and get that sense. The second sense, like when I finish that exhalation and I'm crumpling that cultivation in, and then I start inhaling and drawing in number 2 breath, I see number 2. And I start counting my heartbeat for the inhalation, and I'm flying all around that number 2. And it might be green, and it might feel like wood, and it might taste like watermelon and smell like watermelon, and it might be cold and chilled to the touch because it's been in the refrigerator. You get the idea. So I'm focusing on stimulating as many senses as possible, and it's reverberating at a different frequency, so it can be a higher key or a lower key depending on what you're trying to do. Later on, you even expand this out more complicated and more complex, but for now I want you to work on that. Start out with a good count to where you're pushing your breath, to where you're not forcing your breath, but you're doing just a long, drawn-out breath that's nice and slow and controlled, transitioning easily into your exhalation and easily into your inhalation. So it's not and being forceful. Remember to keep the breathing very quiet, and start out with like a 6 count. And then if the 6 count of heartbeats for the inhalation and exhalation is easy for you, move up to an 8 count, and then move up to a 10 count, then to a 12 count, and eventually you'll be doing like 1 breath a minute, which is really, really slow and long and drawn out. It's difficult, so it takes a little bit of practice at first. Get into your meditation, and then I'll actually do a video, now that I've explained it. In the next week or 2, I'll do a video of guided meditation where I actually have like a metronome, and we'll do a count, and I'll do a guided meditation for you. And I'll talk you through maybe 5 or 10 minutes of this. And that should be really helpful for you to get you started. So good luck with your meditation practice. Thanks as always for watching the videos, and I'll see you soon.